Hey guys, Dwayne here. The Last Black Man in San Francisco is directed by Joe Talbot and stars Jimmy Fails, Jonathan Majors, and Danny Glover. This film is about Jimmy and his best friend Mont as Jimmy tries to reclaim his family home in the Fillmore district of San Francisco. Jimmy tells Mont that this Victorian home was built by his grandfather in the mid-1940s. The house is currently occupied by an older couple who don't take very good care of the house. Every day when the couple goes to work, Jimmy goes to the house and tends the garden and paints certain parts of the exterior that need repair without the couple's knowledge. Due to a family dispute, the older couple have to leave the house and take all their belongings. Jimmy seizes the opportunity to take up residence in the house and dreams of having parties and inviting people over to watch Mont's plays. The film touches on the effects of gentrification. The Fillmore district at one time was a very diverse community of African Americans, Jews, and Japanese. As the district went through redevelopment, things improved, but African Americans were priced out of the area due to rising real estate prices. Jimmy's happy memories of childhood are connected to the house, and he wants to relive those memories. The friendship between Jimmy and Mont is one of the strengths of the film. It is a genuine portrayal of male friendship. Mont is not fully comfortable with taking up residence in the house, but because he is loyal to his friend, he joins him in this endeavor. Jimmy has been living with Mont and his grandfather. At one point, Jimmy expresses that he doesn't want to be a burden to them, but Mont says he is as welcome to stay as long as he wants. Jimmy Fails is great as a loosely based version of himself. His longing for some place to call home is deeply felt throughout the film. It is admirable how sincere he is in trying to acquire this Victorian home, even though it is clearly out of his reach with the salary he makes working at an old folks' home. The relationship or lack of a relationship he has with his parents is heartbreaking. His father lost the house when Jimmy was a child, and now sells bootleg DVDs to get by. Jimmy has lost touch with his mom, until he and Mont run into her on the bus. Needless to say, it was an awkward exchange. It is a miracle that Jimmy turned out to be a responsible young man, considering how his parents failed him. I didn't know what to think of the character Mont at first. It wasn't clear if he was weird or mentally challenged. I came to the conclusion that he was just a little weird and didn't fit in. In fact, both he and Jimmy didn't seem to fit into their neighborhood, at least with the stereotypical black men. Mont's relationship with his grandfather, played by Danny Glover, is touching. When the two watch old television shows together, Mont has to describe what is going on because his grandfather is blind. Mont also appears to be an aspiring playwright as well as an artist, as he is always sketching in his notebook. The film also seems to highlight black men and their relationship with masculinity. Jimmy and Mont are responsible young men with jobs, while Gunna, Jordan, and Kofi seem to hang out on the street corner, talking trash to each other. Mont invites Kofi, a childhood friend of Jimmy's, over to the house for a night of relaxation. The next day, Kofi then turns on Jimmy and says hurtful things about his father to appear dominant after Gunna and Jordan called him feminine the day before. The plight of Jimmy in San Francisco could just as well be about any other urban city in America. The lack of a stable presence of a mother and father has definitely taken a toll on this young black man's life. There's always an expression of sadness and melancholy on his face, which all but disappears when it comes to the house. It represents for him a time when things were stable, which makes it all the more heartbreaking when Jimmy attempts to apply for a loan to buy the house. The house is valued at $4 million, and there is no conceivable way he can get the 20% down payment. Jimmy practically begs the loan officer and assures him that he will pay the money back. The pivotal scene in the film happens when Mont sends out flyers in the neighborhood to come see his play in the Witch's Hat portion of the house. Surprisingly, about 20 people show up. It's a one-person play with Mont playing all the characters. At one point in the play, Mont confronts Jimmy with the truth bomb that Jimmy's grandfather didn't build the house. Jimmy storms off mad, but later confesses to Mont that he knew that his grandfather didn't build the house. He just wanted it to be true. The supporting performances are particularly good. Tichina Arnold plays Jimmy's aunt. She gives Jimmy the interior decorations he had when he lived in the house and later tells him it would be ashamed if he left San Francisco. Rob Morgan plays Jimmy's father, and he does a good job of playing an unlikable character. For most of Jimmy's life, they've been squatting in abandoned houses that Jimmy's father scoped out. I think the tension between them stems from the fact that Jimmy's father feels like a failure because he lost the house, and Jimmy had to spend time in a group home because of this. The director Joe Talbot should be commended for how he shot this film. I had no idea that San Francisco was so beautiful despite the income inequality and the homelessness. The opening shot of Jimmy and Mont skateboarding through the neighborhood after deciding not to wait for the bus is truly beautiful. The slow-motion cinematography is like a visual poem as we see the different faces of the neighborhood and the Fillmore district. The way Joe films the house brings out its beauty, and we see why Jimmy is so enamored with it. One shot of particular note is Jimmy skating down Nob Hill. It's a beautiful scene, and Jimmy looks like a small speck against the backdrop of San Francisco. This film was a welcome surprise, and I hope more films like this get made. In some ways, it's a love letter to the city of San Francisco, or maybe what it used to be. In a scene toward the end, Jimmy sits on a bus and he overhears two young women who are new residents to the city discussing how they hate San Francisco. Jimmy tells him that they don't get to hate San Francisco unless they've loved it first. I think Jimmy loves San Francisco, but he also hates it because there's no place for him as a young black man. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you like it, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe. If you didn't like the video, then you can blame it on Dwayne. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.